Brad Babinet's unable to join us this morning, but Dave or Jim, which one of you wants to start off with kind of an update?
This is Dave. I'll start off with an update. Brad is currently downrange. He is currently, since the change of the path of the hurricane changed overnight and last night, he's scrambling at where he's at to relocate and deal with some issues down there. Currently, the task force arrived at Eglin Air Force Base yesterday about 1600. We are staging right now at Eglin. We're preparing for possible moving up into operations once the storm passes. We're kind of in just a standby mode with a couple other task forces down here, just waiting for the storm and waiting for direction to go operational at this point. All the task force is good. Everybody's healthy. We were able to transport down here. It took us approximately 22 hours to get down here. We have a very large caravan of approximately 20 vehicles. So it was a pretty tedious process to get down here. But everybody's doing good and just rolling things up this morning and getting ready to go to work.
All right. And anything else, or should we go ahead and start taking questions?
Yeah, you can go ahead with questions.
All right.
Just in terms of operations that you're training for right now, is it more land or water rescues or a combination of both?
This is Jim. So right now, they haven't tasked us, but they have asked us to be ready for either. Of course, a lot of this depends on where the storm hits and how it hits and when we can get there. So obviously, what we're doing right now is preparing for both contingencies. Some of the other things is how will we get there? We can go by ground, of course. Well, there's always the option of air mobility. So our logistics folks are really working hard right now to come up with both plans. And that gets pretty, I don't want to say dicey, it gets challenging because sometimes you have to say to yourself, these are the challenges. You can't take our entire tool cache by air, unfortunately. That's very difficult to do. The footprint's pretty large because we are so versatile in what we do. So basically, a lot of our managers are preparing plans along those lines, whether we go by land or air, and will we be tasked with immediate water rescues or a flooding situation where we're wading through it, or will it be more of a wide area search? And the other opportunity could also be if there was building collapse.
What kind of weather are you seeing in Pensacola right now?
We're actually this is Jim, we're actually near Destin, Florida. That's where the Air Force Base is. Right now, it's just kind of partly cloudy. The weather's kind of pleasant, but of course, later on, that's going to change. Later on tonight, I believe. I have looked at the forecast in about a couple hours, but right now, it's not bad at all.
In terms of the next 48 to 72 hours, do you think those will be the times of most dire need for people that need help? Or, in terms of how the storm passes, is that what you're looking at right now?
This is Jim. I want to understand your question. So you're asking me when the people will be needing our help the most, or when we can...
when they'll need your help the most, because when the storm passes, that's probably when you guys go into action, if I'm correct. So how long are you looking at that?
Well, obviously, their needs could be based on their situation. I don't mean to put your question off, but it's going to be based on where they're at and how well prepared they are, If they're in low ground and, the storm surge comes in, obviously that's an issue, and they need more immediate help. If, on the other hand, they're somewhat prepared and they can ride up the storm, so to speak, where they're at on higher ground, or maybe they have an upper story or whatever it might be, or they're in shelters, then that gives them more opportunity for success in that line. I can tell you this much, that I just heard this morning that FEMA Urban Search and Rescue has over 1,600 people in theater. That includes all of Florida and some of the Caribbean islands. I'm sorry, 1,300. My bad. 1,300. So that's a lot of folks. But if this storm is as big as we think, that's going to be a lot of ground to cover. So we're all anxious to go. We had a conference call this morning. I would tell you, every team, it's pretty much, we're ready to go. We can pack it up however you want us to. Just give us your mission. So they're all very good spirits. We want to engage and do what we can. So I guess to answer your question, yeah, they'll probably need help as soon as that storm hits. But you're right. We can't go out in the storm as soon as it's over. And, the folks who do the evaluations can decide where the help's needed most. We will head out once they give us a mission.
Hey, Jim, this is Chief of Spain. So is it correct that they have some teams pre-positioned throughout the state, and that so there could be teams farther down into the state that as the hurricane moves north that, they're going to come out of hiding, go out and do their work, and if they need help, you could be flown around down there, dropped off to help, or just wait till it passes through and then help where needed. Would that be correct?
Chief, this is Dave. That is correct. Currently, I believe the count is they have 18 staged in Orlando right now, and we have 3 teams over in the islands. They're actively in operations right now, doing search and rescue in St. Thomas, St. John's, and Puerto Rico. And then there's a couple other areas within the state that they're staging task forces. We have 4 task forces at our location. So in all total, there's 15 Type 1 80 personnel task forces that are activated for this response, as well as several specialized water rescue teams and other hazmat equipment that has been activated and staging at this time.
Dave, you were not deployed for Hurricane Harvey, right? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Jim, were you part of the group that went to Hurricane Harvey?
No, I could not make it down to Harvey.
Okay. So we have fresh task force leaders then.
Yeah, we're fresh ones, but I will tell you that we have a lot of staff on our team, and I know on New Jersey's team also who we're working with closely here that went to both.
I have a question. It's actually something one of our viewers asked, and I don't know if we've gotten this answer yet. So someone wanted to know why you guys go down before the storm hits instead of waiting until after.
This is Jim. I can answer that. Sure, absolutely. By this stage, we're in a better spot to help people, much like the question I answered earlier, to get the help as soon as possible. When you're looking at 20-some hours of travel time just to get to a location, that delays you. And then you have to remember, all those people, it's not the greatest way to sleep or be rested to go to do that much work. I mean, we've done it. That's a huge challenge. So, obviously, the best thing to do is when you see a storm of this magnitude coming and it's predictable, is to put the resources in position you can to address the issue.
Thank you. And then where, I know you mentioned you're not at Eglin right now. Where are you guys kind of waiting out the storm?
We're at Eglin Air Force Base, and right now what we're doing is we're living in a recreation center for the airmen. It's like a gym and everything else all in one. So there's a bunch of us living in the gym and different rooms, and we're operating out of that.
In terms of when you'll get your mission, do you know a timetable for that exactly, or it could be at any time right now?
Yeah, it could be any time right now. Much like Chief Spain mentioned, one of the possibilities is that they could say if they found an airframe for us, we could palletize, depending on the mission given, get on the airframe and fly around the storm to go somewhere where the storm had already hit. So that is a possibility. Or we could hang out here and wait till the storm passes and then go by ground. And a lot of options in between, too. So.
I guess, how long do you guys anticipate being there? Do you have when possibly be, or is it unpredictable at this point?
I'm sorry, you broke up. How long will be here in Eglin? How long will be deployed total?
Deployed in totality, yeah, just in terms of how long.
I can't answer that. Sure, good question. I can't answer that in totality, but I can tell you that as a standard operating procedure when you're part of a FEMA Youth Park team, you understand you can deploy as long as 14 days. So depending, obviously, on what the storm does and what the needs are, that's a possibility.